there's a spider's bite that has been thrown into the mix as well. It needed to be looked at really, really quickly. We have a lot of burdens back home at the moment.
There's a chance that maybe I can't complete the Camino.
I can't believe actually that this is happening. There's a bedbug outbreak. There's these big black lizards everywhere.
Welcome back to the channel. We're Janine and Liam Day, a married couple from Britain who have been doing full-time van life in the UK for the last 3 years. But after our engine blowing up for the second time in 7 months and once again being made homeless, we decided to leave it all behind and go on an 800-kilometre pilgrimage to allow time to let it all process. We've been trekking the Camino De Santiago, one of 3 great pilgrimages in the world, for 4 weeks now, and with it has come some fair share of challenges. At first we encountered the physical challenges, with the Pyrenees mountain walks being so tough on my feet that serious blisters almost took me out of the pilgrimage for good. Then secondly, the mental challenges of the Meseta, with its desert-like conditions, hot, dusty days and barren landscapes. Then after the body and mind section of the Camino, this final section is to do with spirit. But unfortunately, once again, something has happened which has taken me out of the Camino altogether. And with the end in sight, it looks like Liam may be crossing the finish line alone. Liam now explains the unfortunate circumstances that led to me stopping the Camino de Santiago.
Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I am back on my own again, unfortunately. So much has happened. Unfortunately, a series of unfortunate events have led to Janine once again leaving the Camino. The first time she left the Camino, someone told her that should be the end of her hike, her trek, her pilgrimage this time. This 800-kilometre pilgrimage across northern Spain. But with the miraculous healing powers of Janine's feet, she didn't listen to such advice. She just treated her blisters that she received from crossing the Pyrenees on the first stage of this trek and gave herself 3 days rest, and on the 3rd day she was fit enough to walk again. This time, however, it's not the case, and there's a spider's bite that has been thrown into the mix as well. It all happened, the last time we saw you was crossing the Meseta Desert, as pilgrims call it, which is the middle section of this trek. And they call it the desert because it's big, open, barren stretches of land in scorching 32 plus degree heat in very, very long, hot days. However, Janine managed to do them with her new hiking sandals, double layered socks, and sheer determination. She was absolutely fine going through the Meseta Desert until we reached the end of it in the beautiful city of Leon. When we got to Leon, unfortunately, Janine was hobbling a bit and she thought she may have another blister. When we got to the hostel and took off her socks, she indeed had one brand new blister, and it was really unfortunate because it was on the top of her toe. And you think, how can the top of her toe get a blister when she's wearing sandals? And it's because it was rubbing on the previous blister's dressings. It was so unfortunate. Anyway, the last time that she got a serious set of blisters that almost took her home, or took us home, she decided to lay up for 3 days and just look after them, treat them, clean them, dry them, all the rest of it. She learned some techniques from professional hikers, and it worked. So she thought she'd do the same again. So we stayed in Leon for 2.5 days. During that time, she was pretty much bedbound. We did sneak out and have a little bit of food here and there. We went to go and see the Holy Grail, which apparently is the cup of Christ that collected the cup of Christ that he had at the Last Supper, which was fascinating. And generally just enjoyed the Gaudi architecture and stuff. It's an incredible city. I can't wait to go back to Leon. But unfortunately, during this time, Janine's foot only blister, this big blister, did not heal. It's like an open wound. I don't know how it became an open wound, but it did very, very quickly. So all we could do was treat it, have lots of rest, and unfortunately it didn't heal. So Janine came up with the idea that we do what we did last time. Because we've run out of rest days completely now, we have no room for any more rest days because our flight was a certain amount of time away and we needed that time to actually finish the pilgrimage. Janine said she'll catch a bus to the end of the next day where I'd meet her, like 25-kilometre walk, and that's exactly what she did. I walked it and met her at a place called Alberghi Verdi, and Alberghi is a public pilgrims hostel. And this was a hostel that we've been looking forward to staying at for a long time because it's completely plant-based. This hostel grew all of its own vegetables and fruits and all the rest of it, and they made food out of it in the evening. It was an incredible experience. Everybody talks about this place on the pilgrimage. I really, really recommend it. It's in a place called Hospital Orbigo. Despite all of the wonderful food that we ate and the nice hospitality that we received, Janine unfortunately didn't get any better. So then we decided that Janine would go to the next place. Despite everything that was going on, Janine was in good spirits and good health. It was just her foot was really, really painful. So much so that she couldn't really walk or do any hiking on it at all. And also, unfortunately, she got a spider's bite. Janine had got a spider's bite that was getting infected, and I recognised it straight away as a spider's bite because I've had one before, and it needed to be looked at really, really quickly. The idea was that she would go to a place called Ponferrada, and in Ponferrada they've got a pilgrim's hospital, and hopefully the doctors there would be able to help her out.
Yesterday is the day that I went to the hospital. So it all started when I looked at my toe and it was hugely inflamed. It was absolutely disgusting. And it went a funny colour as well, and it just didn't look good. Anyone that saw it had a really shocked look on their face. The penny dropped and I realised that actually this is not going to heal on its own. So I phoned Liam and I panicked down the phone to him, and he told me to stop panicking and that I need to go to a doctor's or to get it looked at professionally. So I went downstairs into reception and said, will you help me? My foot's bad. And they said there's a hospital down the road, a Peregrino hospital. So they specialise in this sort of thing, which is brilliant. And it was also free. I didn't have to pay for it. So I went down to the hospital, and within like 10 minutes I was in there and they were looking at my foot. They saw my toe and immediately said, yeah, this needs sorting. The nurse took me next door and she wrapped up my toe in a load of bandages, and where my toe was it was full of water, and she just squeezed it so hard, and she squeezed every bit of water out of it, and it was the most painful thing ever. So that's an experience I don't ever want to do again. My spider's bite. I got bitten by a spider. What's that all about? I got bitten by a spider in Lyon. So I woke up in the morning of this apartment that we were staying at, and there's a horrible spider's bite on my hand. So I must have got it in my sleep, which is disgusting. But anyway, yeah, that's hopefully that's being fixed.
Anyway, so that's what would happen. I would be spending overnight on top of a mountain. Of course, Janine didn't want to be walking any mountains right now. And then I'd meet her in Ponferrada the day after. So that's exactly what we did. This was a really, really important part of the trek, and I can see why Janine wanted me to carry on by foot and that she would take the bus to the next place. It was because it was I think it's the highest peak on the whole of the Camino Francés, this whole part of the Camino de Santiago. And on top of this mountain is a cross called the Cruz De Ferro. This Cruz De Ferro is one of the most important milestones on the whole of the trek, and the reason being is where you take stones from. Remember we said we brought some stones from back home, from Brighton Beach. You lay your stones at the bottom of this cross, and with it you leave your burdens. Now I've heard many people say a lot of things about this cross and its magic, like healing abilities and the power of it. So I didn't want to miss it, and Janine didn't want to miss it. Of course, we have a lot of burdens back home at the moment. Well, say back home, back in the UK at the moment, with our camper van and our home and all the rest of it. And I would have liked the opportunity as well, and Janine would have liked the opportunity to leave our burdens of that on the cross. However, the new burdens we have were these blisters, and the most important thing for me right now was not only for my wife to heal and for the blisters to go and there to be no infection, but for us both to be able to walk the last 100 kilometers of the pilgrimage together. The most important part, the last 100 kilometers are what give you your certificate. It's what makes you a pilgrim. Without those last 100 kilometers, officially you haven't done the pilgrimage. So it's really important for both of us that we're there for that and that we could do that together. But at the moment, it's not looking likely with an infected blister and a spider's bite, an infected spider's bite. So I stayed at a place called Fonsabaden, another beautiful mountain little village, had a nice stay there, and the next morning I got up early in the dark and climbed the mountain to the top and laid these stones down amongst other pilgrims with their head torches on, and asked whoever it was, whatever the higher power is, please, please, please take my wife's blisters away from her, this burden, so that we can cross and do this pilgrimage together. I then spent the rest of that day walking down the mountain, which was quite treacherous actually, probably one of the most treacherous downhill parts, because they call them like dragon's teeth, and the rocks are quite sharp and quite jaggedy. It's quite testing. I'm glad I had trekking poles with me. But I got to the bottom and met Janine in the town of Ponferrada, where she had already spent the previous day at the hospital. And the hospital basically had a look at her feet, were horrified by her feet, had a look at the spider's bite, were horrified. The doctor was horrified by the spider's bite, but did confirm that it was a spider's bite. Gave her a series of antibiotics, redressed and cleaned everything, and told her to come back the next day. I was there that next day, and I joined her at the hospital. She was very pleased. I was very pleased to see her. She was very pleased to see me. It's probably the longest time we spent away from each other for the last 12 years, so it was very, very strange. And we went to the hospital together. The nurse the next day looked a bit horrified still. However, they marked an improvement of the blister, which was incredible news, and an improvement of the spider's bite as well. It was no longer getting reinfected, which was amazing. However, she had not healed, but the doctor had said the day before, if she takes the antibiotics and she keeps the dressings clean and all the wounds clean and all the rest of it, there's a chance that she might be able to walk in 3 days. So the new plan was, we spent the night together in Ponferrada, and that she would then meet me in a place called Sarria. Sarria is a very, very important city on the pilgrimage, and it's where most pilgrims meet to do it. It's a huge amount of pilgrims, the most amount of albergues and public hostels anywhere in Spain in one town, and it's where everyone goes to meet up to do the last 100 kilometers of the trek. So it's a very, very important place. So she said it was also the last place that we could get a bus to, because I would then be spending the next 3 days climbing over a series of mountains. Obviously, she's in no fit state to do that. She was happy for me to continue walking and for her to take the bus to Sarria. It would then take 3 days for me to get to her. Once again, would be the longest time that I've ever spent away from her. So I did this, and I quickly met up on the way out of Ponferrada with 2 Australians that I had seen previously before, father and son team, Matt and Tazzy, fantastic guys. And I told them what I was thinking about doing. I was thinking about doing the next 3 days mountain trekking in 2 days. So it would involve one 42 kilometre day and the other one a 35 kilometre day. And do they think I'm mad for doing it? And instead of them, they're Australian, remember, instead of turning them around and saying, we think you're mad, they said, we'll do it with you. So for the next 2 days, me and the 2 Australians, Matt and Tazzy, climbed those mountains together, had the best time. We had a laugh, banter, it was hard work, we sweated a lot, we panted a lot, we had a few cheeky wines and a few cheeky beers, and it was a really, really good time. And I managed to get to Janine in Sarria a day earlier to surprise her than she thought it would, which lifted her spirits immensely. What was even better was seeing Janine was like a new person, and her feet were so much better. And I asked her, like, what does she think about the situation with her feet? Does she feel like should we take a rest day the next day together? Because obviously I bought a rest day by arriving there a day earlier, and that was something an option that I wanted to throw at her. And she actually said that she'd actually like to start walking now, because she's been walking a little bit around the city, and the hobbling's gone, the limping's gone, she can do it, and the infection has subsided. So I proposed that what we do, instead of having a rest day then, is walk a very short day, just 10 kilometres, which is on the Camino. Anything less than 20 kilometres counts as a bit of a rest day, which is bizarre, but it's just the Camino world. And that we would do 2 sets of 10 kilometre days, as opposed to doing anything long or taking a rest day, just to see how Janine's feet were. This is what happened next.
And I am back. Finally, I'm back on the Camino. I'm not getting too excited though, because I still have a really bad toe. It hasn't completely healed, and I really, really need to take it easy. There's a chance that maybe I can't complete the Camino. There's a chance. It's a high possibility, so I have to be really, really careful. Today is a tester day. and the next few days it's going to be a test for me to see how much I can walk on my foot, and if I can actually make it to the 100k marker, so you get 100 kilometers left to do the Camino. If I can make it there, then there's a chance that I might be able to complete the Camino. But as for now, the whole test getting up to that point is over the next couple of days, and I'm really praying that nothing goes wrong. It's still quite a bad situation. My toe could easily break, like the skin could easily break. If it breaks, it will be very painful. It will bleed and it could get infected again. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I'm going to take it really easy today, and we're just going to see what happens. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed anyway.
So we headed off on one of our shortest and most important journeys yet. It's just a 10k day, but it's the walk and the one tomorrow that will determine if me and my feet are up to the challenge of doing the last 100 kilometres of the Camino. We chose a less busy spot to spend the night tonight, which also has the bonus of being less of a bed bug target area. Moorgate is a quaint village with a small chapel, farmlands, and we checked ourselves into an albergue that used to be a pilgrim's hospital. It was beautiful and recently refurbished, and we couldn't have picked a better spot for the evening.
This is the most important part of the day.
Oh, it is.
For sure.
I agree with you totally.
Where are you guys from?
England.
Oh,
And
great.
yourself?
I'm from Mexico.
Oh wow, Team Mexico. You're
Team Mexico, yes.
Buen Camino, sir.
Buen Camino.
Buen Camino. It's so good to see you.
Have a
Right,
beer.
let's go and check in and have a beer. Yeah, I don't need any tempting.
I was born in a cage. Let me explain myself, and I would tell that there's a glow from your face.
Look at it. Wow. This is what you get.
Okay, so we have just made it into our first accommodation together after a few nights apart, and we're staying in this gorgeous place. It's really nice and airy and light and really calm, and yeah, it's a really nice one. As far as that walk went, it was quite tough. Although it was a really short walk in comparison to what we've been doing, my foot, I could feel the tension on my foot. I could feel it. It wasn't rubbing, but it was just like a pressure with a bit of pain on it. So I think I need to address it a little bit more for tomorrow to make sure that that doesn't happen. So it's like padded a bit more. The first round of blisters that have healed, I had one on my little toe on my left foot, and that was starting to rub again, so I need to assess that really quickly. I can't let that get bad again, otherwise I'm going to have a whole new set of problems moving further. So yeah, I'm going to assess that now, and hopefully everything will be good, but I don't know, I'm still not sure.
We finished by eating some dinner, grabbing a cup of tea and going to bed. This morning we'll be walking just over 10 kilometres again, and it's even more important than the previous day. We'll soon be reaching the 100 kilometres milestone, which marks the last section of the whole Camino, a part of the whole trek that every pilgrim must walk in order to achieve the Compostela certificate. A vast majority of pilgrims on the Camino only do the last 100k, and it's incredibly popular with the Spanish nationals. It's a milestone that has been talked about from the start of the pilgrimage, and one that I've personally been looking forward to achieve.
This is it! Oh my god, we have just arrived at the 100 kilometre marker. Oh, how awesome is that? So we are now officially 100 kilometres from Santiago, and this is a big milestone in the trip. So, and we're here! Well done.
Well done.
Congratulations.
It's a big one for you, sweetheart.
I know.
It means, I think from this point onwards, it means that there's no going back. You've just got to do it.
I know. There's no excuses now. I think that...
You've had good excuses. You've had very good excuses.
I know. But even if I get blisters now, I'm just going to walk through them.
And the most important thing for me was that we came through to this point together. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have actually crossed this on my own, you know that?
Oh,
I wouldn't have
thank
done.
you.
So this is very, very, I can't believe actually that this is happening.
I
I actually can't, because
know.
it's been a write-off twice.
I know. I almost didn't make it here, so I'm really pleased to have made it just to this part. It's really beautiful around here as well.
What you've been through.
Fingers crossed I can do this.
Feeling accomplished and ready to get through the final 100 kilometres to Santiago, We grabbed a picture at the landmark and stamped our pilgrim's passport before heading off.
Okay, so that's it. That's the 100-kilometer marker. It is the most photographed marker, milestone on the Camino. It's also the most graffitied as well, and it's also the most important. And it's the most important because it's the official pilgrimage, pretty much. So this whole thing's been called the Camino Francés, which means that we've come from France all the way to it, like the French did back in the day. But many people, and the most popular part of it is the 100 kilometers onwards. And the reason behind that is you're not officially a pilgrim or have officially done the pilgrimage unless you get the certificate, which is called the Compostela. And the Compostela is given to people who have done the last 100 kilometers, which means the challenge from now, not only are we constantly keeping an eye on Janine's feet, which are doing remarkably well considering everything that's happened, but we've got to get 2 stamps in our pilgrim's passports every single town along the way now, all the way, every single day, sorry, all the way to Santiago. So that's sort of a new challenge. On top of that, we've got another challenge that's come about in the last sort of couple of days. There's a bedbug outbreak on the Camino. You've probably seen what's happened in Paris and London recently. Well, it's reached the Camino as well. And we knew about it in the last not last night, the night before. One of our friends, one of our fellow pilgrims, found one. And when we looked at the place you stayed the night before, on the reviews, the most recent reviews, which is the way of telling, which you must do before you stay somewhere, it said visible bed bugs in places. If they're visible, like crawling on the walls, then unfortunately I would stay well away. We've managed to avoid them so far, apart from our friend who had one. So we've obviously done the responsible thing of cleaning everything, laundry, dryer, and I've got some bed bug spray as well, which is completely natural, which is basically just tea tree lavender oil, essential oil, with some water and a spray that on the bed at night. We're taking every precaution going, but it's become a very real challenge out here. I got obliterated in India last year. And it's horrible. Bed bugs. They don't like me. They eat me alive. So I'm really keeping an eye on it. Kept Janine up a bit last night because one of our fellow pilgrims was itching all night in bed. So there's new challenges all the time. Really, the most important one in how many pieces we do it. Really, the most important one, the one that means the most to us, is that Janine and I cross into Santiago together. That is what we're here for, after everything we've been through. And so we're going to go now through every single town that we stop at from now on. Is very important culturally, historically. We're getting our stamps, understanding the culture, absorbing as much of it as we possibly can, and then hopefully we will make it to Santiago together and finish this whole pilgrimage. Please wish us luck.
Oh my god, bed bugs. I hate bed bugs. They make me feel sick. They're so disgusting, and I'm really hoping that we don't get attacked by them. As Liam said last night, someone was scratching all night and I was just paranoid. I kept looking over at this guy and trying to see what was going on, and I picked up all my stuff off the floor just in case. Yeah, it was really bad. So we're both really just praying that we don't get, even though actually bed bugs didn't bite me the time that they bit Liam, so hopefully none of us get mauled this time. We're super cautious, but yeah, bed bugs, disgusting.
With bed bugs fully on our minds, we continued the day's hike, hoping our accommodation from now on will be clear from any creepy crawlies. The rain, however, we definitely can't avoid.
So we are almost there. Today has been a very wet day, and I'm not used to it after having so much good weather for the whole time we've been walking, and and it's just chucking it down today. So there's going to be a day coming up that it's absolutely going to chuck it down all day, so we're reorganising our plans and stuff. But for now, we're almost at our accommodation, and I'm so happy that my foot is feeling okay. And we have made it. We've made it to our guest house. It's actually really nice. There's a kitchen downstairs, and we are on the top floor. We've just met the owner, and we have to check in later on at 6 till 7, which is a bit random to check in after you're actually in your room. But never mind. I'm carrying all the sticks up the stairs, and I'm really struggling. Oh, it looks like a nice room. Oh,
An attic.
that's really nice.
Yeah.
Oh, we're in like an attic room, and we've got a double bed. We're not sharing with anyone else, which is brilliant. It's a bit weird, but good. It's really, really good. And it's very clean in here. And I don't know, it feels like there's, don't want to say it, but...
We don't have to worry about bed bugs.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It feels like that, but obviously you've got to check. But yeah, very happy.
We're staying in a guest house called Alberghi Aqua in Port Marin. It's an attic room and a private one tonight, which we are super happy about after lots of dorms and snoring. It's clean, and the shower room has a hairdryer for double bonus points, and the first time I've seen it on the Camino. Earlier we even managed to find a small supermarket open, which is unheard of on a Sunday. So Liam cooked up a questionable looking, but nice nonetheless, pasta dish before we headed out and had a glass of wine to call it a nightcap for the evening.
Okay, so we are going to bed now early because we're going to get up early. Now, there's been a change of plans, and it might be a good idea, it might be a bad idea. We're going to see how we go. Janine's just done 2 short days and her feet are in good condition. We've got a new challenge. The weather is closing in on us. We're in Galicia and it's a very wet place, but it's been holding off decidedly. And we hear that tomorrow is the last dry day. So we are going to, plan is to wake up early in the dark and walk long distance tomorrow and get the most of the dry weather. So the next day is going to chuck it down all day heavy, which is not good conditions for walking, especially when you've got equipment and you're doing photography and stuff. So that's the plan. We've decided on it earlier. Wish us luck, and we'll see how we go tomorrow. We'll basically walk, keep an eye on Janine's feet, and just see how far we can get. Uncle.
This is the hour, the darkest place. Dante's Inferno, the devil's maze. It's a good world. Good world gone bad.
Oh my God, it absolutely rained on us so much this morning in the dark. The sun has it's just coming up now, but about 20 minutes earlier it was chucking it down. It's so much so that we had to duck in for a coffee somewhere and try and just sort of wait it out.
But the funny thing this morning was, the horrible thing about it was it was the most treacherous underfoot as we're passing through these forests. But the ground was moving the whole time because there's these big black lizards everywhere that you can't see in the darkness, that you can't see. The only way to spot them is with your torchlight, and they've got these bright specks, yellow specks on. How's it going? Good morning, Buen Camino.
Buen Camino.
These bright yellow specks, and they move away just at the last second, but it became too close to call. So we're just an 8K in the dark and the rain, and now the rain's easing off, the light's coming up, and we're going to keep moving forwards.
Okay, so we have walked about 35k so far. We've just stopped off at a little shop that's serving tea. We've bought a tea and we are resting our feet. My feet are killing. They're really, really hurting, but not blister-wise. They're actually just aching. Liam has been offered a shot of some coffee.
You don't need to show that. It's like you sip it.
Okay, good. I'm not sure if I can handle the shot that big right now.
No.
Yeah.
It's like sipping it and like just.
What's it called again?
Orujo. Rujo. And then it gives it a taste.
Oh, it's like you're going to really like that.
Really?
Do you know what it tastes like?
What?
It tastes like you know the coffee liqueurs.
Chocolate. Oh, coffee liqueur.
Yeah.
It does taste like
Nice.
Yeah, Janine loves coffee liqueurs.
Ooh, this is
It tastes
a
like
right
it's got like
treat.
some chocolate treat.
Like with ice, so you can have with
Ooh.
ice or without.
Oh, I bet that's really good. Yeah.
Oh my god,
like an
that's
espresso
really
martini.
I'm
nice.
happy you like it.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so much. It warms you up, doesn't
Oh,
it?
that's lovely. You can have it with a chocolate bar, couldn't you?
Yeah.
That's it. Yay! Give me a high five.
Well, bloody done. So, Janine, how many kilometres do you think we did?
41.
Yeah, I've just told Janine we just done 41 kilometres, which is massive considering you've just recovered.
Oh.
It was your call, it was your choice.
I think
And you
that's the longest I've ever walked ever in my whole life.
After everything you've been through, I'm dead proud of you. And it was all self-inflicted. So well done.
Mwah.
Well done. Let's go and get a bed. Congratulations, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Say that again, Liam.
I'm telling you, 22 kilometres is a rest day. It is. It's half of what we've done today. It's a rest day. Blitz that in the morning.
I'm so tired that everything's making me laugh. But Liam just said 22k. That's a really good rest day. That's what we're planning for tomorrow. And that's what it gets like on the Camino, is that these days where it's like, I don't know, 10, 15, 20k is almost like, oh yeah, that's a really chilled day.
Back home, it would be something ridiculous.
Oh God.
Cause it's my lazy day, just wanna lazy away. Ain't gonna do a thing for the rest of the day. You can try to seduce me, make me wanna play. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Okay, so that's it. It's a funny town, this. Not the nicest of towns, sort of aesthetically, that we've seen so far. But nice regardless. It made me realise how many nice towns and little villages we've stayed in across this whole sort of 5 weeks of the Camino. And what a legend Janine is doing 41 kilometres today. She didn't realise we'd done 41 kilometres. It was just up to her when we stopped. And I'm glad we stopped here because it really was a good long day. We didn't get wet too much. And it means tomorrow we can take it easy a little bit. And then the next day, the final day, heading into Santiago, will be a fairly long day again, quite a lot of kilometres. So as long as Janine doesn't wake up with destroyed feet tomorrow, we're looking good. There's a few other factors involved, and I just hope, and we're both just now thinking about what it's going to be like getting into Santiago and ending this whole thing, and really savouring the last of these dorms that we're staying in by going to bed early, like most pilgrims do. So good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
The following morning we left our accommodation in the dark again, this time to walk 20k to our final albergue on the Camino, as this is our penultimate hike before the final stage, and one we have been waiting for all this time. The Camino was definitely being kind to us and gave us our first supermarket bought plant-based pastries on this trip, which we very much enjoyed. We finally made it to our accommodation in the small village of Ferrios, and did the usual shower, make the bed, glass of wine and a bite to eat. Tonight was a burger and chips, before grabbing an early night for our big 30-kilometre hike tomorrow. After such a crazy few weeks hiking the Camino de Compostela, the ups and downs, laughs and tears, thousands of tiny yellow arrows and many, many wishes of Buen Camino, it felt strange that tomorrow would be the last day on this massive life-changing adventure. Alas, the day came. After 5 weeks of continuous hiking, we got up in the dark one final time and took off on the very last leg of the Camino. We walked in the rain and it felt very real and dramatic because of it. Surrounding us were hundreds of pilgrims, all waiting to see the beautiful Santiago Cathedral in the distance. Mixed emotions came to the surface for us, some pleased that this would be our last day of long distance hiking, and others saddened that tomorrow we would wake up and have nowhere to go and no purpose. Soaking up as much as we possibly could of that last few kilometres, we actually really enjoyed the atmosphere on the trail, and it was potentially one of our favourite days on the whole Camino. And all of a sudden, the spires of the magnificent cathedral and the centre of Santiago appeared in the distance. We could finally say that despite all we had been through, we would be walking into town together as we had started. We spoke about Liam laying down the stones from back home at the cross on the mountain, and how it had done its job of removing our burdens, namely my blisters, so that we could finish this adventure together. The outskirts of Santiago were like any city in Spain, urbanised and not so pretty, but Santiago Old Town welcomes you with that familiar beauty of ancient quaint architecture, standing bold as it did since the very first pilgrims walked through these very streets to come face to face with St James's remains. The sounds of the Spanish bagpipes filled our ears as we walked into the square in front of the cathedral. But it wasn't just the cathedral that filled us with emotion, but the sight of all of our pilgrim friends waiting for us in the rain after many hours of arriving themselves, so we could all be there together at the end of this magical pilgrimage. The ending couldn't have been more special and symbolic of what really this pilgrimage is all about. I spoke recently with an older Dutch lady at an albergue on one of the days waiting for Liam to arrive whilst my blisters were healing. She asked me if I was gutted to have missed some of the Camino due to my injuries, and I told her that I hadn't missed anything. We agreed that for anyone coming to do the Camino to cross off kilometres, then perhaps an ultramarathon would be best suited. For the Camino isn't a race or just a physical challenge. It's in fact the physical element that's just one part, then mental, and this last section has been the spiritual section. Not just the Catholic element to it, or the repenting of sins, but the fact that the spirit of the pilgrimage lies in the pilgrims who are walking it and the wonderful locals you meet along the way. Anyone can turn on the TV today, at any point in time, and feel like the whole world is in a dire state of conflict. But also, right now, today, there are thousands of pilgrims from all over the world walking a sacred 800-kilometre path across Spain, following little yellow arrows, talking, laughing, sleeping and eating together, and being guided by something that feels higher than themselves, a global community walking with one goal, and we are so grateful to have been part of it. Thank you for watching and subscribing, and we'll see you next time, where we return back to the UK and face the music.
Look at these guys coming in. Oh, Tom! Camino 2023. Too late now, we've already taken the photo.
I don't know what's going on here.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
When we wake, hear
hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Oh, you and I, we got it. Oh, we don't need no can weather any